Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Waldemar Farge. I'm Senior Marketing Professor, and I would like to introduce to you the Brand Management course. Today we start with the session 1, and let me share my screen with you. And I would like to introduce you to the new thinking in brand management. In the last 30 years, many things have changed, particularly in the B2B area, in the industrial marketing, but also in the consumer marketing, where internet marketing and the social media marketing really took major parts of it. Today, I would like to introduce in the first session quite a few interesting aspects to you. Number one, I would like to show you the textbooks which I'm using in this course, and you are encouraged to read the chapters which I recommend for the various sessions. So number one, we use Kevin Kellers' Strategic Brand Management book, which is in the 4th edition, the 2013. There is a 5th edition also out. If you can get a hold on you, please do so. In addition, I would like to use Phil Kotler and my book on B2B Brand Management, which is the only really dedicated book in this area. So there are various versions out, even a Chinese version, so you can really read that the way you want to read that. In addition, I highly recommend the newest publication from Phil Kotler and Uwe Spohnholz and myself on what we call now H2H Marketing, human-to-human marketing. And these 3 books are actually a great basis for any kind of brand management. So you're encouraged to do so. For this session here, I would recommend chapter 1 from Keller and chapter 1 from Kotler Farge, the B2B Brand Management. And if you have some special time, read the article from Didier José and Eduardo Jimenez on decision-driven marketing, which gives you quite an interesting stuff. We will work on the Microsoft micro-fridge case and hopefully form the groups for all the activities, which you could do outside if you want, so please do so. Well, the objective of the first session is to really determine what is marketing strategy thinking. I mean, we want to really understand what to make the thing clear and what makes the brand trick in this certain environment. Understand the value proposition and the development in the marketing mix, and look at the different factors between B2B and B2C. In addition, I would like to give you some hints to develop a marketing plan, including the brand. So let's get started with the microfridge case. Please read the case and go into groups, and then we come back and discuss it here. I will not make a break here, but if you are working on the case, just stop the video. Now, coming to the first main principle of brand management, and many of you were wondering where is brand in the concept of business management, and there is one really important paradigm which says marketing follows business strategy. Well, this is a big thing because sometimes marketing fellows think they need to determine where the company goes and how the company goes. Well, the reality is actually the other way around. There is a company strategy. If a company has many more areas, what we can call strategic business units, Then we have a corporate strategy and a strategic business unit strategy or a division strategy where the company is divided. And beneath that comes everything what is related to marketing and branding. The reason for that is with the strategy you determine if you want to expand, maintain, or reduce the strategic thrust. If you want to go a little bit deeper in that, watch the videos from Michael Porter, which are on the right side. What is strategy? And there's a short clip and there's a 2-hour clip, so you can get a little bit deep inside. Or Playing to Win, read this book and try to make yourself a little bit more familiar. Well, nevertheless, after the strategy comes the marketing. And the marketing is determined by, of course, strategic decisions of product group, industry, and other things. And afterwards comes the marketing communication. If the company has various SBUs or various brands, the brands are going on top. But before we discuss that, we need to know, after the marketing communication concept and the marketing concept comes the operation. In the old days, many companies were driven by operations. Now, in the meantime, we have reached out. The big challenge what we have now is that many companies has various brands, and therefore branding is guiding the various marketing activities in these areas. So on top is strategy, then comes branding, then is marketing, and beneath marketing communication and all the operation including. Well, there's much more to say to that, but I think this is quite an important part of the start of brand management. Well, if you think about the marketing and the planning of all of that, you need to ask yourself why you do something, what you do, and how. And the why question is one of the really big important questions. And we need to dig into that quite a few more times. Here we want to say the why is very much determined by the situation, where you are, when you are, what we call environment. And the what out of that is then the strategy, and how is the action plan. And this, of course, has various factors. In the why situation, you look at the customers, the channels, the competitors, the collaborators, which are distributor, consultants, and other guys. And you look at the technology, the economy, the society, the government, and various other factors. And out of the why, you determine what you do. You want to be active in social media. You want to introduce a new 3D printing concept. Then you need to consider all these factors and come up with a very specific solution why you're doing that. Out of that comes a strategy, which is determined by the values of the company, the culture, the vision, the strengths, the weakness, all these kind of things which really determine the factors which makes your strategy possible. And then out of that comes the how much resources and money you have, how much time and people you can spend, what your products and your features and the way you go to the markets are. So this simply looking concept of why, what, and how gives you the opportunity to characterize your own situation and determine where you are. So this could be used as the starting point of every kind of marketing and planning activity. So please use that because it will help you, and it had helped many other companies before. Well, the main big principle which had entered the market recently is behind marketing follows business strategy, the consideration what do we do in the digital world. And many consultants are pushing for a digital strategy. My position is a little bit different. Actually, I follow the comment from Jeff Immelt, ex-CEO of General Electric, and he said there is no digital strategy, there's a strategy in the digital world. Well, I think this is very true to the situation where we live, and the example of GE is actually a very good one. They come from a traditional technology. The digital companies have started to dig into that, and they had the big decision, should they go digital or should they adapt their way of doing it? Actually, what they did was they considered the world, including the digital environment, and came up with solutions which fit to the reality. Let's say they're selling jet turbine engines, and the jet turbine engines are physical analog technology, or had been this kind of technology. Today they are digital, which means, of course, they have major power engine metal configuration, but all the adjustments to steering is done electronically. All the data are collected, all the data of past activities are available, and the optimization of this engine when it's hooked to an airplane can lead to quite very efficient ways of doing business. And therefore, they have established a system of analog and digital activities, and driving that in a very specific strategic approach. And that means you need to have a strategy in the digital world, and the branding follows that. Well, the third principle I would like to introduce is the value proposition, which has been around for a couple of times. And this is a group of benefits provided to the firm's customer by the bundle of goods and services that they offer. And this is actually a very unique way of defining with respect to a specific segment. So you say you are in airplane turbines, let's say high end, and out of that, then you say what you offer. What is your point of difference? What do you do specifically for this segment? And out of that, there is a tool which I recommend, which will help you to stay ahead of competition and give you the opportunity to become a leader in the industry. So this tool I would like to give you now, and I would like to ask you to apply it to your situation. Very simple. You determine the target segment. So you come up with a sentence for turbines. Your fuel efficient turbine gives you the opportunity to be leader in the industry. So, and we give you 24-hour support or something similar. So this would be a tool, and I would like to ask you to apply this tool on a selected company and determine the value proposition, and make sure that you understand why the company has that. So take a time, pause the video, and do the exercise. When you come back, I'll show you here now the application of that tool on an Apple product, mobile devices. You can call it iPhone. Yeah, it's easy to use, has great design, and because Steve gave us something unique. Actually, he engineered the unique customer interface and the system, which makes that device absolutely outstanding. And the pricing and the demand for iPhones over the years has shown that. My friend Professor Per Jenster had developed that tool, and I would like to thank him for letting me use it here. Now let's continue. Let's understand what's the difference between B2B and B2C. This is particularly important when we talk about branding, because in B2C we have a huge group of customers. In B2B it's only a small one, so the brand activities are quite different. Well, industrial products are very complex and need lots of explanation. I mean, consumer products are getting complex too, but when we talk about a paper machine with 1 kilometer length, or chemical plant, these are really huge things. And the B2B is a derived demand. When we talk about paper, by the way, in the digital world, paper is not getting out of demand. It's actually there, but of course the demand is derived. It depends very much on the need of the customer. So if the customer wants more sugar, let's say the sugar increases by 3 or 5%, the packaging, the paper packaging for sugar or whatever packaging you're using is also getting up. But if you build a new sugar packaging line, the market demand for sugar packaging lines increase enormously. Let's say there are 5 machines per year, and you add 5%. That means you have to add 1 or 2 machines, which is 10 to 20% growth. And so the derived demand has a very different characteristics than the demand on the consumer side. So when you look at, and here's the example of the PCs, if the PC market is growing, of course you need microprocessors. And when you need microprocessors, you need silica, and the silica need to be cut, and the silica need to be photosynthesized, and the microprocessor need to be assembled, and the motherboard has to be put together, and the PC have to be brought to a final assembly. So we have actually a long line of value adding. It could be, as it's shown here, B3, but normally it's 5, 7, and sometimes even more stages. And we have B2B after, or let's say all before the PC. So there are many activities happening, and the derived demand on the various layers is quite different. And therefore, understanding the B2B market and its derived demand is very crucial. When you look at this picture here, the consumer jumps by, let's say, 5%, and then in the retail market, it flows, and sometimes it goes the other way around. Wholesale as on a different layer, and then manufacturing goes even bigger up. So what we call that, it's a so-called bullwhip effect, that the players in the value chain actually are triggered on a different level all the time. Therefore, you need to know where you are and what effects does it have. This does not hit the consumer market. So the consumer market is very different from that. In B2B and B2C, you also need to know that B2B is always international. There are only a few B2B companies who are national because they need the larger market. There are quite a few national B2C companies in food, in retailing, in housing, in legal. Many things is national in B2B. In B2C. In B2B, we have organizational buying, which means that that's not only one person, it's an organization. Various people are involved in the buying, and we have various buying situations which require quite a few way of doing it. So the differences between B2C and B2B are quite clear, and therefore in the branding area, we also have to look at it. The brands in B2B are very focused and very directed, and the people involved in the industry need to know them. In B2C, the knowledge is all spread over. Many people have to know it. You have to use mass media, TV, radio, and other things. Well, if you want to expand your business, there's a principle which I would like to introduce. It's quite old, but nevertheless, it's very helpful because it gives you a good tool to understand where you are, what your competitors are doing, and what growth opportunities you have. So it's called the ANSOF matrix, where you look at current products and current markets, and the strategy which you apply in here is the market penetration. You could have new markets and current products. So you look at market development. Let's say you move from one country to another country. You move from one area to another area. You discover sub-markets and stuff like that. So that is market development strategy. You have a current product and you introduce a new product. So we talk product development strategy. So having a laptop and then introducing the iPod and then introducing the iPhone, that is a product development strategy. And the Apple company, for example, is driving that. Now they have the iWatch, and let's see what is next. A quite interesting development. The fourth one is the diversification, and the diversification is bringing something new, so a new product in a new market. Well, let's say you are in cars and you're selling a small car, a medium car, a large car, a van, whatever. And then you go to different countries. And if you diversify, you come up with something very different. Let's say you're not selling cars, you're selling the use of cars. Well, that is a very different way of doing something. And it's a very different market. And it's a very unique thing. I mean, we have quite a few car sharing companies out there, and the various car companies try to follow. Mercedes started Car2Go, what is now Drive Now, after merging with the BMW activities, but nevertheless, that business is very different. By the way, in the meantime, this division is separate from the car business because the conditions are so different. So companies who want to move in this area need to really consider the ways to how to do it and what are the particular in this new market. And not too many companies can master that. So this ANSOF matrix scheme is very helpful if you plan to expand your activities. Well, if you want to put that all into a business plan, so creating a marketing strategy, it's necessary to establish your objectives. What do you want to achieve? What are your criteria? Which direction you want to go? What targets you go for? This is not a theoretical exercise, but it is actually the very important thing. So you really need to establish from the beginning where you are, where you want to go, and what you want to achieve. It could be shortly stated. I recommend to use some charts and some graphs to make this visible. Well, the second step is define the market and select your territory. So you need to really be clear, what are you selling? I mean, are you selling cars? Are you selling the usage of cars? Quite a different thing. Which customer you target? Do you target for final customer, private customers, or you target companies? Which competitors are out there? Which one do you avoid? What is your target market? I recommend your target market should be narrow enough to reduce competition. but wide enough to be profitable. So if you go on car sharing, not only go for the yuppie generation, the young ones, also go for corporate. So then you have quite a reasonable size of the market. Well, the market definition should accommodate expansion and anticipate long-term environment shifts. Well, this is a challenging task to see that. Let's say we stick to the car sharing market, and how will the car sharing market grow? Of course, there's great predictions, but it needs quite a few societal and legal changes to make this to a viable long-term market. So having said that, defining and selecting your territory is number 2 task of developing a marketing strategy. Well, one of the most important things is step 3, establishing the competitive advantage. That comes with the value proposition, which we just did. It really shows the differentiation and the positioning, but it also includes your price-cost ratio, the objective quality, and of course the intangibles. And here again is the brand, the very important factor, the perception-based aspect of your offerings. What is the customer thinking of the stuff what you bring to the market? Are you bringing something really unique? And that is absolutely important to establish your competitive advantage. Well, if we move on to the next important aspects of marketing and brand management, we need to talk about the marketing mix. The marketing mix came up in the 60s to make business activities easier, and it really is ingrained in everybody's knowledge. The 4 Ps is even known by not marketing people. So the 4 Ps really characterized by product, place, price, and promotion. And these 4 overall categories really give a simplified way how the offerings is conducted. Most difficult is the understanding of place. When you think about marketplace, then you know we're talking about the distribution, the various channels, the way to the market. And when we talk about product, in many cases we talk about solution or offering, and price could be quite different. It could be a rent, it could be fees, it could be other things. And promotion is also quite furious. Well, that was established many years ago and clearly led to some changes. There have been 5 Ps and 7 Ps. The 7 Ps I'm showing here includes people, process, and physical evidence. Well, these are quite viable factors, and it really helps to determine the situation. This is particularly important in service marketing, where the physical product is only a small part of the reality. In the meantime, 4 Ps has changed. It came to 4 Cs, and it came to save, which is the B2B solution. So not product, not place, it's access, it's not price, it's value, it's not promotion, it's education. That article was published in 2013 and gave really a big shift in the B2B market and really characterized the new way of looking at the marketing in industrial situations. Well, in the meantime, we have a new situation where trust is becoming really important. So having the solution as the starting point for every activity in B2B and in B2C. I want to listen to music, and I need some hardware, and I need a system, and I need knowledge, and that solution is the basis. But then you need the access, how to get to it, how to bring it to me. Then you see what is the value I'm getting from, and then you need to be educated to make it happen. And all is based on trust, reputation, and experience. And that ultimate trust is becoming more and more important in the world we are living today, because proliferation, competition, international and global aspects. So trust is driving the current brand activities. And that leads in the marketing mix to a new development, because we have understood in the meantime that there is a new marketing, a marketing which is different from the 4 Ps. The 4 Ps is the outbound marketing, where the company sends messages, information, pricing, offerings out. Actually, in the internet, we have the new marketing, the inbound marketing, any marketing tactic that relies on earning people's interest instead of buying it. And that is actually the new way. And this new inbound marketing is actually creating a new way of providing services and offerings to the people. So inbound and outbound marketing goes together. Number one, you need to understand there is a new inbound marketing. Number two, you have to execute it and make it happen. And therefore, you have to look at the activities on a dynamic way. So when you look at the situation, at the market, the technology, the regulation, and all that kind of things, that change over the time, and it actually changed very quick. So we have changes in technology in 6 months, 3 months. Currently, metaverse is entering, and we are wondering what's going on now, and various new things are coming up. So when you look at a marketing mix, the marketing mix should not be static, it should be dynamic. And therefore, we need to understand what we need. And now I would like to propose the new marketing mix, which number one includes the trust, which is manifested in the brand and is dynamic and learns from the 4 Ps and the C-value solution and adds the trust and comes up with a solution which is evolving, the knowledge which is exchanged, the value which is expanded, and the access which is extended, and of course the engagement in the brand. So having a new marketing mix which is dynamic, which looks at solution, knowledge, value, access, and brand, and that determines your marketing mix. And now you have a new framework which includes the outbound and the inbound. It has the company perspective, it has the customer perspective, it includes the social media, and by the way, the mobile technology is becoming more and more important because we have a computer, but we also have a smartphone, and we may have a tablet, and we may have some IoT devices somewhere else. So all of that is the new system, and that new framework is, of course, driven by the 4 Ps from the outbound, but it's also driven by the 5 Es. So all together makes the new system, the new framework for marketing. And in that, the 4 Ps has become an important part, but it was driving the marketing mix, promotion, the advertisement, the sales, public relations, and the personal selling, which has changed now because that was clearly an outbound marketing, and outbound marketing has its limitations because it is interruption marketing. It interrupts the normal things. The inbound marketing, which is driven by the customer wants, the convenience, the communication, and the customer's cost, brings us to an inbound marketing, which is permission marketing. The customer allows the company to let the knowledge of the company come to the customer. And outbound and inbound marketing comes together and is based on content marketing, which then develops an effective marketing communication. And there are quite some important steps. Number one, you need to understand the customer path, which starts with the aware, the appeal, the ask, the act, and of course the advocate. And that all moves together and is in parallel to the content marketing, which makes it possible to be visible. It's relatable, it's searchable, it's actionable and shareable. And that all together works to make these things really efficient. There's a need to make it effective. There is a need for integrate marketing communication. There needs to be a careful blended mix of promotion tools. And of course, it must be consistent, clear, and compelling as a company and a brand message. And out of that comes a promotion mix, which includes the advertisements, the sales promotion, the personal selling, the direct marketing, public relation, and content marketing. And out of that, it is pretty obvious that the 5 E's are now in the middle of any kind of marketing activity. So exchange the knowledge, expand the value, evolve the solution, and extend the channels, and engage the brand. And that leads on to the new concept of 5 E's. Thank you very much for this. And I would like to send you in another group work to apply the 5E marketing mix. And this was the end of the session 1. Thank you very much.